Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Over 9000 podcast. And in this segment, I want to talk a bit more about anime, the upcoming launch, upcoming updates, everything, the
All the good stuff.
NFTs. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
everything.
So much exciting
So
stuff coming.
you got me into anime. We
I did.
watched, uh, remind me what it's called?
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away, best anime ever.
Oh, Studio Ghibli, right?
Can't believe I don't remember the name. But that was the first thing that I got into anime-wise. Studio Ghibli killed it
Yeah.
with Ponyo, something
Castle in the Sky.
Castle in the Sky, and the other one
Oh
with
no,
the guy, Howl's
How's
Castle.
Moving Castle,
Howl's
right?
Moving Castle.
Yeah.
Loved that
God, we're
one.
such anime nerds that we messed
Yeah,
up all the names for it, but
and we
hey.
literally forced all of our children to watch them, didn't
Pretty
we?
much,
Yeah.
yeah. Winter is an anime fan now, my daughter.
And an amazing anime that I recently watched was The Blue Eye Samurai, which you haven't watched,
Haven't yet, no.
and
I've
that is
been
incredible.
very busy with binging Solo Leveling, which
Yeah,
also is like 10 out of 10.
yeah.
So good.
So, how do you feel like anime that we've watched and you've watched growing up has inspired your upcoming like NFT collection? It's called the Aura NFT collection.
Yeah, so our upcoming NFT collection that you mentioned is the Aura collection, which
Yeah,
is essentially kind of an anime profile picture collection that you can actually utilize inside Sacred Tales.
yeah,
So with NFT collections, and this is for people that maybe like don't quite know the NFT space, which is probably a lot of people, right?
yeah,
Essentially, they are kind of act as digital collectibles. So you own like a unique collectible that no one else can own,
yeah.
right? So
So
it's
it's like
giving
copyrighted.
not copyrighted, it's just like it's digital ownership. So when we look at like other games, right, like say your account gets banned or something, whatever happens, you've been a naughty boy, fine, account banned, lost all your items, gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
With NFTs, you own the keys to your own wallet. So no matter what, you will always retain those assets, those digital collectibles, right? So,
Yeah,
for me, an NFT is a digital collectible. I know that NFTs, the word can intimidate people and is associated with, negativity in the crypto space at times because obviously not everyone has good intentions in this world, right? But to those of us that do, it's really just a form of ownership to that person. And to kind of touch on your question more about Aura, right?
mm-hmm.
So essentially, it's 2,000 NFTs, and which is quite small in the grand scheme of things. Like Bored Ape collection is a 10,000 picture collection,
I
right?
mean, it doesn't sound small,
It
but I
doesn't,
get in the NFT
but
world that is
it
small.
is very small, really, because ultimately you will be able to utilize that profile picture as your in-game profile picture.
Mm-hmm.
It will give you access to exclusive Aura tournaments in game where you can, earn prizes such as, real, cryptocurrency, exclusive items such as a legendary item, like we mentioned, with that kind of rarity aspect that
Yeah,
you can export as an NFT. So yeah, it's I suppose it opens up the possibilities of what we can reward our player base with, and actually integrate like tangible value into those earnings, which I think you know it makes it more engaging and more exciting if there is something on the line, so to speak, right? Rather than just prestige or whatever. So I think it's a very kind of unique and beneficial aspect of Web3 games. Um, but the actual kind of collection itself, inspiration from all the anime that I watched as a kid. Some of them you probably got forced to watch in
absolutely. Yeah.
in ways. Do you remember like Gundam Wing? I remember that we were on holiday, and we were in like a little beach shack when we were
Well, you
younger,
literally
and
gave us no
yeah,
choice.
wow, yeah. I mean,
Like,
you enjoyed it though.
yeah, I
Like they
mean,
were fun.
it was forcefully enjoyed, but eventually I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I guess like with anime, I think people kind of misunderstand it. I think ultimately what it is its root is a form of storytelling, right?
Yeah,
So like when we think of anime, we think of I guess like we mentioned, like Pokemon, Digimon, Beyblade, all of those kind of
yeah,
originals, but they're more aimed at kids, right?
yeah. And
But
very recently for my son's birthday, got him a Beyblade
I
arena,
did.
and he had no idea what that was,
Yeah, he
and he loves it. And then I put Beyblade on for him, and he's obsessed.
yes,
And
it's wicked,
it,
isn't it?
like, same with Pokemon and all
Yeah.
the other ones that I'm, like, starting to get him into. He loves it, and obviously your little girl adores it,
Oh my
and
god,
we
obsessed.
are pushing
Obsessed,
pushing
yeah. It
this on
was
them.
I loved that you know, you see, like, memes online of, like, not memes, but, like, video footage of, like, the little babies choosing their starter Pokemon and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and it's just so adorable. We did that with both, and, unfortunately, my son picked Bulbasaur, so I'm not quite happy about that one
Yeah,
in
well, my
particular,
boy's on Charizard,
but,
so I'm quite proud.
yeah, I would be proud if I was you, but Bulbasaur, not
Yeah.
so much, but
But yeah,
hey ho.
with the NFTs,
Yeah,
obviously you're creating sort of individual artwork for each of them. They're
yeah.
beautiful. I've seen 3 of them you've made so far.
Oh, there's the that I've
I know
shown.
that's what I mean. I've
We've
seen 3 of
teased
them. I
3 of
know
them, yeah,
there's
but
more.
so
Obviously,
many.
yeah, they look amazing. Really high quality artwork. Very cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting actually. I've always admired NFT collections and I've always wanted to kind of like make my own mark on you know the NFT scene. Of course, we have NFTs with our Shinsei, right?
Yeah.
Which we sold out the 3,000 plus of them
Yeah.
already in 2023 actually. But the Aura collection itself, you know, comes from my huge admiration of anime. It kind of just made sense with everything that we were building with the kind of anime theme of the game, and you know, ultimately, what it you know allows us to do is to kind of pour all of my kind of passion and love for anime into this collection, and ultimately kind of have that kind of creative freedom to deliver what I think is a really, really high quality, you know, collector format for digital artwork, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it goes further than that because it's not just about the kind of artwork itself. Like, yes, they can be profile pictures on social media. Yes, you can use them inside the game as well. So you can actually have them as your kind of display profile picture, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It gives you access to like exclusive tournaments inside of Sacred Tales where you can earn, you know, legendary items like we kind of touched on before, other kind of exclusives as well in that kind of area. And one of the most exciting things I think is kind of the way that we are having our like a revenue generation system to give back to those that purchase the original Aura collection, right? So what does that mean? Like that's a lot to kind of process. Um, Ultimately, what we are going to do is that we are going to allow these Aura profile pictures to be sold in the game shop,
Mhm.
not as NFTs, but as you know, profile pictures that players display as their you know on their characters, right?
Yeah.
So, well, why would someone who owns that artwork want that? Well, because we will be giving like a revenue share to the person that owns the said NFT if a player makes the purchase of that version inside the game store, right? So let's say I own NFT 001, and that 001 is available to purchase randomly on the store. A player purchases that
Yeah.
NFT, sorry, not NFT, purchases that profile picture to
Yeah.
display on their character in game.
Yeah.
Now, the original owner of that NFT gets 25% of that in-game
Right,
purchase.
okay.
So, you know, essentially, if and you know I say if because that's the reality of it. If the game scales to you know a really kind of high player count, you know that could potentially you know yield really nice kind of returns back to you know the NFT collector. And I guess when you consider the fact that these 2,000 NFTs are going to be priced at $10 each, and then the actual kind of purchase of the you know the in-game version of them will be $3 to $4.
Mhm.
It can be very you know very beneficial not only to the secondary market value of that NFT in terms of the price of the collection increases because uh, the game itself gains more exposure and more popularity, which obviously inflates the value of the intellectual property behind the game itself, including Aura.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, for me, it's a really kind of exciting um, reward mechanism to explore, and I personally don't know of other projects doing that. And I always love it when we can come to the table with a new and innovative like way of adding utility to this NFT, right? Not only that, but the artwork, like you mentioned, is I
Well,
think is beautiful.
yeah, and you have promised me that you'll make me an NFT in your Aura
Yes,
collection,
yes,
and it's inspired by my old game handle, Lumi,
yeah.
and sore subject, really, isn't it? Still is quite sore for me. I invited you to come and play a game with me called Clash of the Sultans or
Revenge of
Revenge
Sultans.
of
Oh,
Sultans.
okay, yeah.
And I had worked my way up, worked really hard, created an alliance. I was like the top three of thousands of alliances. And you came in and you were called Sinbad, and with your big mouth, ruined everything. You turned the whole kingdom against me. And
Um,
you feel like you helped me. You didn't. You destroyed it. And it was like at that time, that was my life. And I get that, this is the passion that we have behind games. It actually almost does become your reality. Like,
mm,
we have to be careful. We have to make sure that we stay grounded and
yeah,
within reality.
yeah.
But this is the passion behind games, isn't it? That we love it that much that it does become part of your
Yeah,
personality.
it
So,
immerses you, doesn't it,
yeah,
if a
I
game is
am
built well.
very much looking forward to my NFT.
Yes,
You
I
can
think I
make up
definitely
from
owe
it.
you that by the sound of
Yeah.
the tone of the
Yeah.
story. Um, I'm not gonna defend myself too
No, you
much
don't need
on it,
to.
but,
There is nothing
I
to say.
actually think I did a great job.
And this we're reflecting like this was like 10 years ago. This is a
Yeah,
long time ago.
we basically joined, a new server at one point, and
Yeah,
it
because we had to
was
leave the kingdom.
I mean, like, they
You
had
literally
unlimited
had to
access to credit
leave.
cards, didn't they? Because
Biggest regret of my
oh
life.
my god, it was yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
was
we
we
spent
it's
money.
yeah, they had unlimited spending budgets, and unfortunately, it was quite a pay to win game, and,
Yes,
yeah, we
we
bore the brunt of that, didn't we,
yeah.
in the end?
Um, Another question I want to ask because that was really cool. But what do you feel like has allowed you to succeed? Like, have what people behind you? What has created the success? Like, what has added to your success?
Yeah, I think, firstly, it's just having the resilience
Hmm.
and tenacity to keep going because, there are so many things that went wrong in our journey. Um,
I have seen you slaving behind that computer,
yeah, and,
asleep on the sofa every night. Like
it's
you've put
commitment,
in,
isn't it?
yeah,
Right?
serious work.
Yeah, I mean, like, the amount of 4, 5 a.m. nights that I've had, and I'm
Yeah,
waking up at, 8, and, also, like, co-managing
got to be a
a
dad.
family.
Yeah,
I think my partner has probably been my biggest kind of rock in all of this.
yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't have been able to get this far without her. That's the truth of it.
Yeah,
She keeps me grounded just to listen to my ramblings every single day.
God bless
And
you, Kate.
and I mean, if you can think about it, like there are a lot of things going on. I'm a solo founder, so a lot of the kind of stress of managing a business, especially one that is a first time for me, right? Like it's not like I'm a seasoned gaming studio. This is
Yeah,
kind of
you've
our
just
first
dove
release.
right in the deep end, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think especially as well to kind of mention like kind of limited budgets as well. I think
Mm,
that you have to really every decision you make is under a microscope, right? Because it's not like you can afford to you have the luxury of being able to make mistakes,
yeah,
really.
and when you
I mean,
compare
you
it,
do, but
yeah, you compare it to other games that have unlimited funding. You've had very, very minimal, haven't you? But what you have done with that funding is phenomenal.
I think so. I'm really, proud of what we've achieved with the funding that we've had. And we kind of talk like, this story is essentially an open book, right? We're still writing each page. So,
Yeah,
um, the reality of it is that I will still be learning, and there's still so much that I can and need to learn. I don't have all of the answers. And kind of coming back to your question, obviously you mentioned my partner, like incredible, but also the network of support that I've had around me
yeah.
has kind of enabled me to get to this point. So, firstly
Feel like I deserve a mention.
yeah, absolutely. But like my investors, of course,
Yeah,
like the people that have like been with us on this journey for the 4 years,
yeah,
incredible patience that they've had to have.
yeah,
It's not instant gratification, it's not instant rewards for these people. And the fact that they still support me to this day, motivates me to push harder and harder every single day. We've had also like amazing partnerships as well that have been just, you know, incredibly incredible experiences to kind of learn from and grow and evolve. So firstly, kind of mentioning Timber Games, which is our partner development studio based out in Colombia, LATAM. A team of 25 people were working on Sacred Tales through Timber Games alongside, us co-developing with them.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, also Tensei Games as well, been incredibly instrumental in like helping to kind of port the experience from PC over to mobile devices. I mean, that's not easy to bring a game that was built for PC over to mobile devices because the technical limitations on your phone is obviously very different to
Yeah.
like your PC or desktop, right?
Yeah.
So they've been so flexible, so understanding. And then also another massive shout out to the Psi Foundation and
Right.
Psi Network,
Yeah.
which are essentially, for those that don't know them, are a cryptocurrency layer one blockchain.
Mhm.
Um, just an incredible team behind them. Still feel like they're quite early, really,
Yeah.
in terms of kind of learning. Um, the end result is again they're still writing their story,
Yeah.
and I think that kind of synergy that we're both kind of learning together as we go. They're making a massive push into the gaming sphere. They strongly believe, as I do, that the kind of the best chances of mass adoption for crypto technologies is through playing games because that's a common um, shared experience that we all enjoy and know, right? Gaming is everywhere,
Mhm.
whether it's in movies, with the games being converted into film formats and things like that. Different forms
Yeah.
of transmedia is what we call it.
Yeah.
Transmedia being different variations of your intellectual property in a way that you project it. So gaming, a game would be one. An anime series about your game would be another form of transmedia, like a novel or short stories. These are all things that we're actively working on as we speak.
Yeah.
My partner is currently writing, the
Books.
first novel
Yeah,
for
and
Sacred Tales.
I've heard them and
Yeah,
just incredible. Like,
kids' short stories.
yeah,
Also, we've
really,
got
really
3
cool.
books already written and ready to go, just waiting on the illustration part of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because it definitely helps the fact that we have kids,
Yeah.
and the amount of kind of children's stories that we've read, it's given us a really good
It's
kind of
influenced.
understanding
Yeah.
of like that kind of format.
Yeah.
And ultimately transmedia is so influential in the success of IP, whether that be in a game or selling a toy, merchandise, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What you find, like take it from my daughter's experience, she watches, I think it's like Robocar or something, and it's got this like heli toy in it, right? And
Mhm.
she is obsessed with this heli toy. She will not stop talking about it. And are we going to eventually buy it for her? Yes. But that's the marketing play, right? They have the series, the kid enjoys it and loves the IP and then wants the toy. Now, where's the real money? Is
Yeah.
in toys, right? Merchandise.
Yeah.
There's huge profit margins in that. And Pokemon did the same thing with promoting their game.
Yeah.
The anime series really elevated the game because the game came out before the anime series,
Yeah.
right?
So, like, what's your marketing strategy? You've kind of touched on that, like the books and the NFTs and stuff like that. That obviously all plays into part of your marketing strategy. That is kind of self-explanatory of what you've already spoken about? That is how you're marketing
Yeah.
yourself.
I mean, marketing is difficult, right? There's no like one hat kind of fits all answer. What's the saying? One shoe fits all
Yeah.
answer, right? In Web3, there are kind of typical Web3 marketing strategies that you can use.
Yeah.
But ultimately, with the way our game is built, we want to kind of tap into just regular gamers, right? So, I mean, in terms of kind of like the budgets, obviously there is just like kind of disadvantages in the
Mhm.
fact that we can't just chuck money at the wall until something sticks
Yeah.
in the marketing aspect. So we have to be, very clever and resourceful. I am a massive advocate of believing that if you build a good project, a good product, then word of mouth can be an incredible, ally to you in
Yeah.
in in getting that out there. I know some people kind of push back on that, and with valid reason as well. You do need to give yourself valid exposure to really stand a chance of people seeing your product. um, but I think there has to be a balance there, because you can spend as much money as you want on a product, but if it's not good enough, then that money is wasted, right? So it's
Yeah.
that fine balance that you have to strike. So to directly answer your question, we'll be kind of utilizing the prize pools that we have accrued in the season of
Yeah.
Sacred Tales. Things such as the NFT deployment is, of course, massive marketing exposure in the kind of crypto hemisphere.
Yeah.
You have various different streaming platforms that work really well with games as well. So finding Web two. Sorry, I said Web two. That's a bad habit, but
Yeah.
just normal streamers that you can find that will be willing to stream your game and play it. Micro influencers, these kind of things are much more effective than maybe potentially spending huge money on one influencer, right? Like,
Yeah.
we want to essentially find like talented creators and grow with them. So not only do we, benefit from that, but so do they as well, right?
Yeah.
So we've currently got an ambassador program being led by uh, one of our amazing lead ambassadors called Rain. That's how she's known on X, and she's managing that entire ambassador program, scouting out the very best like content creators, doing really cool giveaways and prizes. And
Hmm.
it's not about how many followers they've got or anything like that. It's about the kind of passion they have for our actual product, because
Yeah.
obviously if someone believes in something, then when they speak about that, it definitely translates to the audience.
Yeah. I would consider your game that you fall into like the indie game bracket. Do you feel like indie games are having a bit more success now?
Yeah, I do. And I think one, that's accessibility. I think two, it's the power of social media
Yeah.
as well. I mean, like back in the day, you were kind of, these big studios were getting TV ads and things like that, right? But I mean, the reality is most of us spend most of our time on our phones and social media rather than watching TV now, right? So it's
Hmm.
how do people consume content?
Yeah.
And I think that a truly good gaming experience, something that's unique, which a lot of these indie games are coming up with, because we have that ability to take that risk, right? Like, we can innovate in ways that we think, and we're not constricted by the big suits, the corporational kind of aspect of some of these companies that they've transformed into. And it gives us that kind of creative freedom to bring new experiences to people. And ultimately, if a new experience is good, then that could be like that lightning in a bottle moment.
Yeah.
That virality that you could spend X amount of money and you still wouldn't get.
Hmm.
So some of the, like, for example, Expedition 33 is a indie game that is incredible. Takes a lot of inspiration from Final Fantasy, which I'm a huge, aficionado or fan of. But it comes with like kind of quick time reactions and in turn-based combat. And obviously these kind of things excite us because we're building a turn-based combat game ourselves, right? So we can appreciate the kind of unique innovation that it took to kind of come up with that. You're also seeing a lot of AAA games with really really high funding struggling. And it's because they've spent so much money on these games. They have so much pressure to bring
Yeah.
in
Make
X
that money
amount of,
back.
exactly,
Yeah.
right. And what that means is that they don't have as much creative freedom. They're not, they're almost kind of building under orders, right? Like,
Yeah.
you need to do this, you need to do this. And then what if a developer's like, oh, I've got a really good idea, can we implement this? It's like, no, stick to the script.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that always happens, but I can imagine it does.
Yeah, and I feel like with the budget that you've had, the gameplay and the artwork is so incredible. And it's like, I want to touch quickly on the tavern. Like, that is such a cool space that you've created for people to come in,
Yeah,
literally have a beer with their
yeah,
friends, chat. Obviously, you've got the little area that you can then sign up to the tournaments and stuff. Like, the parts of your game that you have created, and like I said, the artwork of the actual game is such high quality for an indie game.
yeah.
Um, One word that I hear you talk about quite often is raids. Like, how does that work? Because for me, I remember raids in Have a Hotel with loads of like guys coming in with afros and just take over the space.
That's not what I
I
mean
know,
by
and
raids.
I know, and that's why I want to touch on it because I don't
Yeah,
actually know what a raid is.
yeah.
That is what I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
raids
Well,
were,
yeah, because
but
they
I
have that
realize it's not
on
now.
Like Twitch raids, right? Where like
Yeah,
the streamer's about to finish their stream, and then
yeah,
they'll like raid another streamer to like give them a visibility boost, that kind of thing.
yeah,
So it's done in a positive way mostly. But like the actual like raids about like as in like where Sacred Tales is going to grow and evolve to is that we're going to have like dungeon raids.
right.
So it will be actual raids that you can go on with other people. So you'll have team members up to 4 people in your party, and you'll be able to go and explore these different like dungeon scenarios, various different battles where you'll be able
Love a
to kind of join
dungeon.
up together, right?
Yeah,
And you know, for us, it's just kind of exploring the potential that of having real world value in these items that amplifies the experience, because ultimately players they'll find they're kind of grinding, and eventually they'll acquire incredibly rare items that, you know, either they keep or they sell on secondary markets, which we allow.
yeah,
So, you know, it's not like they feel like they're doing anything shady by you know, selling these items. Well, like far from it. Like we encourage that,
yeah.
right? And I think there's some other really cool kind of updates that we're going to be bringing to Sacred Tales too. So, like fishing, for example, a fishing minigame, farming minigame, basically kind of like idle time. So when a player is kind of idly hanging around or chilling, and maybe they've, you know, battled to their heart's content that day, and they just want to do something calm, right?
Yeah,
We're providing those experiences, but we're taking it a step further, and this comes from my love and passion for RuneScape, is that we're going to integrate like a unique leveling system for fishing and for farming, and you know, wherever else we kind of explore
yeah.
in terms of those mini games. Another kind of factor as well is something called world bosses. So these wild bosses will be unique. There will only be one of these wild bosses, and there'll be a very strict set of criteria to unlock the scenario where you actually encounter this wild boss. Now, this wild boss will drop a one of one item, which like that's pretty cool, right? Like
Mhm.
it's really, really rare. It's a one of one. It's going to be very desirable. You're going to basically set your own price for it, or maybe you want to keep it. Like it's up to you. But it's just kind of like trying to push the boat out and explore and maximize the potential of earning real tangible kind of rewards in a game without ruining the experience of the game
Mhm.
overall, right? And it's taken us a long time to balance it and to make sure there are no kind of pay to win elements in it, balancing the rarity tiers of the Shinsei to make sure that yes, they're slightly beneficial, but your strategy is the main, you know, focal point of whether you're going to achieve victory or not, right? And I think that's so important, because I'm sure you've played games before like Revenge of Sultans where we couldn't compete, right? Because we just didn't have that unlimited credit card spending capacity,
Mm.
and it ruins the game overall.
Yeah,
And we
it
want this game
does. Yeah. Oh,
to
it limits it, doesn't it, to an average person that doesn't have
exactly,
a
like,
endless wallet.
it's not about extracting as much
Yeah.
money from the user as possible. It's about giving them an experience where they want to spend a bit of money in there,
Yeah.
you know? And I think having that kind of mentality is incredibly important. So I'm just going to kind of recap quickly, because I didn't kind of reaffirm the aura. I know we touched on like the utility and the earning aspect and stuff, but the launch of aura is actually coming up in a couple of weeks.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so we're doing collaborations with various different communities. The price of the NFT is at $10, like I mentioned, 2,000 profile pictures. Yeah, I'm just really, really, you know, excited to see that kind of play out.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the finished results and all
Yeah,
the NFTs. It's been amazing speaking today, and it's over and out from us.
yeah. Thanks so
Good
much.
chat.